enough.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to call to order the Westford Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 26, 2025. This is a reminder that this meeting is being broadcast live by Westford Cable Access TV and recorded for playback online. By attending this meeting, you consent to your likeness and audio being used and recorded for rebroadcasting. So the first item on the agenda is open forum. Jim?
I have an item for adding to the discussion and action items list for subsequent meetings. Back in May, we received a generous donation from the Friends of the Solving Organization, about $50,000, I believe it was. And the idea was to either repair or replace a chimney, which I think we have some condition on, and or remove some of the buildings from the Girls' School. Mentioned to us at the time of the donation. I don't think we've done much with that since May, so I think we gotta make good use of the donation.
Yep. Okay. Pat, do you have anything?
Just as an advisement to the public here and the commission themselves, this meeting room is now equipped with sensitive audio equipment that can detect and record conversations within the space. All conversations taking place in this room are being captured by the system. So even kind of quiet side comments or whispers in the audience does get picked up. So please be aware. And also on a programming note, the special meeting of the commission to consider the request to use Stony Brook Conservation Area for Park Run is scheduled for next Wednesday, March 5th at 7 p.m. in this meeting room, second floor.
Did you report it back on CPA?
No, I don't think I have.
So that this might be just the time to say that
Yes.
it's being recommended.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. So there was a CPA request we filed on behalf of the commission for $890,000 to use in the acquisition of land. Still working. With the potential property owner still working through getting a final plan to reference in any offers, but it was recommended by the Community Preservation Committee and also the select board.
Nobody has voted on it to my knowledge,
Okay, I
but
couldn't
not
remember
only
if it was
yours,
last night.
but anything, because we revisited it another one. That's why.
So, I will update that.
Yeah, I just wanted them to know that we had no issue with it, but the vote hasn't taken place yet. I wouldn't expect an issue.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that in place of our usual request for $190,000?
No, that's a separate thing that you have put in for.
So
But, well, we used to put in, you didn't put one in this year.
Right.
yeah, and that was
But there's no such a thing as like a steady, you know.
right. But it was our practice to request $190,000 every year. But because of this other request this year, we're not doing it.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm hoping to get that wrapped up and an offer by town meeting. Just rapidly.
Anything from members of the audience? Okay, moving on to our next 7 p.m. agenda item. It's an appointment with Bobby's Ranch about use of Emmett and the Neshoba Brook Conservation Area.
So I have not been able to finish the history between both properties. That's really the last piece of it that I need to do again. Whereas they were using those the Bobby's Ranch was in existence prior to the photos they showed going back to the 1980s around a much less filled Neshoba Pond. And then documenting the town's acquisition of the various properties. Just kind of want to establish both that these areas were being used for trail rides from the commercial operation, while also, at some point the commission did, or the town acquired these properties. And the last bits, that's just kind of providing a basis for how we got to why a memorandum of understanding is practicable for kind of the use going forward for the commercial operation of using the commission's properties. Need to just want to rewatch one more time the previous conversation to make sure I captured every kind of the bits and pieces that were discussed about, the maintenance of the trail, or the maintenance of the trails, creation of new trails, kind of how this all goes about. And again, most of it comes to the commission, seeking permission, and it's not unilaterally to occur.
Was there any signage in that, if I remember?
Yeah.
A little bit, I think.
Well, I know that they're also supposed to provide us kind of a zoomed-in portion, a zoomed-in version of the portion of the property they're using with names for the trail. So, for example, if they notice that a trail is, if there's something down obstructing a trail, they can feed it back into the stewardship or the trail steward loop.
But your point, it was signage around the pond too.
I just remember there was some signage.
I was like, it was some kind of signage around, avoiding the pond as opposed to.
What
Yeah.
I remember.
That's right.
And the maintenance of that's going to be, if they're going to be using it, they're maintaining the signage, things like that. They give that a go.
So are we thinking the discussion we will have a follow-up appointment with them on the
Yes,
March
I
12th?
do want to get this wrapped up, especially as there were more things are coming on, getting back into the busier season of the commission. I don't know. I don't know. It's resolved.
And trail riding season heading.
I mean, I didn't notice. I don't. Don, are they going out in the snow or?
Yeah,
I
it just
didn't make it to that side of the pond when I was out there.
you have to be a hardier rider to do it this time of year. Okay, so we'll look to continue hopefully have that history finished and the draft MOU ready for review on March 12th.
On March 12th.
Okay. So we're not quite to 7:15 yet. Oh, yeah, comment.
Don Galley, 11 Mark Vincent Drive. So my question is, at the last meeting where we talked about this, we talked about fixing the bridge over into Neshoba Brook, which would hopefully give them more places to ride that's away from the pond. And we talked about having Community Preservation Act funds fund that. I don't know if it's too late to apply for that at this point.
I think so, and that's on me.
For CPA, it's too late.
Yeah, and that was
It's
when I was
concluded.
out at that still through the correct.
Right.
It may be worthwhile if the commission I'll try to get out and see the condition of it, because it may be worthwhile to hire a consultant to evaluate the option, kind of see what the existing conditions are, and
What are we looking to do with?
there's a brook,
It's a major bridge that it's one of the, other than the old road bridges, it's the only major bridge over Neshoba Brook that connects two sections of the conservation land. So it's really useful for hikers as well as the horses. And it's been, the bridge was smashed, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and people have jury-rigged things to make it So it's possible to walk on it, but it wouldn't be possible for horses to go over it.
It's not safe for other things, yeah.
Right, so, I took some measurements of it, the bridge is about 60 feet long, there's a good steel superstructure, or substructure that holds up about 40 feet of it, 20 feet of the planking is good, there's another 20 feet of the planking on that structure that's not good, and then there's another 20 feet would need another bridge section to connect. But having a consultant go out and look at it would probably be a good idea.
Yes.
And we usually
And-
have at least like two town meetings, right? And you usually have more than one.
Yeah, I mean,
So
the special-
for CPA, I sit on CPA, that's
Right.
what I said. So for CPA, I mean, you could aim for, because it has to be approved at the town meeting.
Right, oh yeah, right,
So
sure,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
timing, you could work on it, you know what I mean, if we have another one in the fall or whenever, for what you're talking about.
Right.
It might be a good application for that.
Okay, so
Is this
Matt
the
can,
ra- So if this, the rail line here, it's kind of,
I'm
Yeah,
just thinking of the
that's-
timing of it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably it.
yeah.
So, and then the other thing is, and I think this has been a problem for years, is on the north section, there's 150 feet that's almost always flooded out now because of beaver dam activity along the Neshoba Brook. It was never a problem, like, up to 10 years ago, but anytime there's any rainfall, down by the bridge, to the north of the bridge.
Oh, north of-
It's in the approach to the bridge off of, it's called the Neshoba Trail, which is off of the Marsh Trail, which you probably don't know. You can see it right there, yeah, right. See that, where the Neshoba Trail comes in to where the bridge is? That part, well, you can see shows wetlands there. On the south side, it's not a problem, it's never flooded out. But on the part on the north side, the northeast side there, that's almost always flooded out. So that could probably use a boardwalk, doesn't need a bridge, but a boardwalk.
So for that boardwalk, is that something that might be suitable for the Eagle Scout project, or is that
I'll
above?
take a look and see. I know the commission did approve a boardwalk out on Lakeside Meadows, the open space parcel there. With the new, I would just want to run it by the building commissioner first, the new building commissioner first, just to make sure that whatever would be proposed is.
Would, if this was a boardwalk, would this be a boardwalk that the horses would cross over?
Oh, yeah, probably,
Okay, so-
yeah,
so
right.
maybe-
So it'd have to be sturdy,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, that
yeah.
may be-
So this is a kind of thing where it sounds like a large enough project that we really need consultants to help us get a price that's realistic, that once we,
And the
after
design is
approval.
realistic.
design that's realistic and,
See that as a
And I-
CPA project.
yeah,
you
but
know,
it just,
for your timing, you know what I mean, to figure out what.
yes, but we need to come forward with a number that will actually let us complete the project.
And I can certainly start asking around to some engineering consulting firms to kind of see what is available in terms of services from them. But it may be worthwhile to when I get a better sense of costs, come back to the commission for expending some of the reserve receipt money for the design and kind of that end of it. So we're coming to CPC with a fully formed plan and, probably a better estimate for the actual project.
We've done bridge before,
Yeah, O'Brien Farm,
exactly.
yes.
And we didn't ask for enough, and we didn't ask for enough money.
Yes.
What I'm just saying is, it's not something that we wouldn't consider. So in your planning, you know what your timeline is,
Yes.
okay?
Okay.
So one more
Sure.
thing related to this, but not exactly the same as the bridge. While we were out doing trail work for the Conservation Trust a couple weeks ago, Ed Kennedy came on we were walking on the railroad bed for a while, and mostly to just cross over from one side to the other in the conservation land. And I spent some time talking to him. about using the railroad bed. And I asked him actually if he would give an easement to the town for using it. He said, no, he didn't see anything that the town could provide to him that would be worthwhile. But he said also that he doesn't mind anyone using it, walkers, horses. I don't know, you may have already known this, but,
It's nice to hear again, sometimes, I'm sure Bill and Carol may have were aware of it, but it's nice to also know that.
right. He also said that they own a parcel of land down by Kennedy Pond, and they're planning on building a park there this summer. So I don't know. I don't know what the park will consist of. There's certainly some wetlands in that area, so
Yeah.
obviously you folks would probably need to be involved with that.
Interested.
So I'm sure at some point he'll be in touch with you, just so you have a heads up.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Just on the lookout for it.
Thank you, Don. Okay, moving on to our 7:15 PM agenda item, we have a public hearing for 2 Bear Club Lane.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 26, 2025 at 7:15 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Stephen Ho for the removal of 3 trees within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands at 2 Bear Cub Lane.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Stephen Ho. I'm the owner of property on 2 Bear Cub Lane. And I'm applying for removal of 3 trees. One of them is dead. Oh, if you could back up, there's a picture of where the trees are relative to the house, A, B, and C. And A and C are live trees. B is a dead tree. And they are 50, 70, and 72 feet away from the houses. A and C, I've spoken to an arborist who looked at them. He was dead. And A and C are growing where they have co-dormant stems that look like they could split easily.
I met on site and looked at, so the previous, I assisted with this representation of where the trees are relative to the wetland out there. This did measure off from tree A to the wetlands, approximate wetlands edge, again with it being snowy. Measure it down to the sub-foot, but it's between 18 and 20 feet from the edge of the wetlands.
So the blue
Which
line?
the blue line is the edge of the wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
And certainly tree B, again, kind of as shown on both A and C, shown in the photo, there are multiple stems coming off from 15, 20 feet. And then tree B, all kind of blending into the other deciduous trees that do not have leaves at this time, is approximately the same height as A and C, and is devoid of any vegetation at this time.
So you can't tell if D is dead
Oh
or.
no, it's dead. Yeah, it's another pine tree that's
Even
dead.
if it's summertime, it's not gonna have any green
No.
leaves. Okay.
Again, even the aerial imagery, the
Yeah.
Well, what do they want to plant back?
With the green lawn.
And what do they want to plant back?
so
So I saw a planting of 2 trees,
we've
Just 2 live ones, that sounds
I'm
good.
assuming, yeah.
Yep, that would be.
and kind of discussing the site today, This area to the south of the dwelling is still very forested. As you can see, you see all the understory and canopy as well. There may be potential kind of to the north along this property or kind of along this wood line that I anticipate receiving afternoon sun in the summertime for, some fruit-bearing larger shrub type, Canada berry or something, because there are plenty of trees already. But adding something to the understory that would provide food and habitat for wildlife is, I think would be a beneficial addition to kind of.
So there are no other evergreens really? When I'm looking at the picture of A, B, and C.
No,
And so that's from the driveway.
Okay.
So there are still plenty of evergreens kind of to the right of C. It's just not shown.
Okay, it's just not shown, all
Yeah.
right.
And in the fields, they even continue further this way. And again, on the abutting property, the other edge of the wetland has a couple pine trees, and there are significantly more as you continue to the south. So it's not.
I just don't want to get in the habit of replacing big white pines with shrub.
well, but if we're looking to diversify vegetation, diversify habitat potentially by going with the smaller trees or the shrubs, we do more than 1-to-1. So that if you're
But it seems
Yeah.
like there are other evergreen out there as well, so you're not losing that habitat.
yeah, we just diversifying.
The commission, would the commission require that some of the standing stump, one or two, be left? Again, this tree B is currently a stick. It would be.
Is there any benefit to that?
It's wildlife habitat for the woodpeckers and things like that.
But they have plenty around them beside that.
Well, yeah, but if that one's dead, it's probably already moving into the habitat for
Right.
insects or woodpeckers and, keep them
Just
going
leave
after the other
just leave the
trees.
stumps.
Well, stump or actually, I think you were asking about a standing butt log where we leave
10 feet.
10 feet of the trunk in place.
Sure. That works. Or his house or anything.
Yep. Any comments or questions from members of the audience? No, okay. So,
And then just what's the commission's thoughts on replanting? 1-to-1 with fruit-bearing shrubs? Larger fruit-bearing shrubs?
For the two live trees?
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
So leaving a butt log at tree B and then replacing the two live ones with fruit-bearing shrubs?
not necessarily in the same location.
Not in the same locations, again, try to find, again, there's some pretty
Where
good
they'll, someplace where they'll thrive.
Right, that's the ultimate goal.
Well, and actually with the shrubs, the native ones that we're talking about, once they get established, will they just kind of start to create their own children?
I don't know if they propagate.
Okay.
That's a question.
That's maybe
Well,
something to
okay.
figure out for later. Okay, do you have any questions?
Do I get notes on this or?
Yes, so we'll issue, pending the commission's vote, if you likely receive a negative determination of applicability, which means no further action is required, with conditions as discussed, so.
Right.
And if you have questions, you can start to reach out.
It's a good thing.
Right, so just from my notes, it's B down to 10 feet, and A and C could be replaced by trees or shrubs.
Necessarily in the same location, but somewhere along that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and the goal would be not to plant other trees that will grow as tall.
Right. Don't put white pine.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion for conditional negative determination? All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So you're all set, Matt. We'll be in touch with the paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item, there's a public hearing for 82 Pleasant Street.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 26, 2025, at 7:20 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Joao Batista Pasos dos Santos for after the fact approval for the removal of a driveway and installation of a new driveway within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and land subject to flooding at 82 Pleasant Street.
Good evening.
Hello, I'm Leo.
Yeah, I am.
So,
Please explain kind of what you did,
okay,
previous conditions, current conditions.
yeah. If you take a look at these pictures, the below picture.
Laser pointer on your.
Oh, yeah.
Don't look at it.
Sorry. Here, we have original space. All this space has asphalt. This part of the asphalt are so bad. There has a lot of deformation, cracks, and all this. So João decided removing all these parts and reduce the driveway or these sides. So what we did, we came and removing this old asphalt and just to put it spread a new soil. We use some gravel in the parts to just to put a grass over. So the process is we start removing these parts and then come at this, ramp up all the asphalt and dump all these materials. Here on this new part, we put a new asphalt. The first part is thicker asphalt, and then like a binder, and then next season we will finish with a top cover. So we reduce this driveway near 4,000 square feet. We remove here 4,000 square feet of asphalt, and to be added grass or to extend this part of this area.
So kind of additionally, they did provide some kind of annotated, kind of explaining the, kind of the house area, previous driveway, approximately 6,100 square feet, trees, the wetland area. They showed the area of pavement which was removed.
Yeah, we're removing all this, and if you're moving a little here, it's not so clear, but we always mark on this because of the dig safe ask us to protect, maintain some, follow some steps. So in this case, we have an edge here, so we maintain distance of this edge because the wetland, and because it's we need to maintain safety of my crew. So we use this line to work. It's in the end of the driveway. Because of all this, we started working here and moving to here. So any machine comes other this side of the line.
It's a steep slope.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so this was noticed by our system planner in November, December. The applicants were responsive in stabilizing the area again. Under the Massachusetts wetlands regulations, the commission may find this to be a minor activity as an impervious area is being replaced with pervious. Under the town's local wetland bylaw, there isn't the same. If I have a photo, I think this was maybe from Sierra.
Is that the part that was demolished on the right?
Yeah, so did show this was the previous condition, the existing conditions from September 2019. There also, if the commission remembers, this address did come before the commission for the replacement of a septic system. So they have there was a fairly recent and approved septic plan showing kind of the extent of the paved areas. Again, this is flipped from kind of how their photos and annotation and drawings were, but showing the steep slope from the wetland or from the previous paved area down to the wetland resource, and again
And now they've removed it and grassed it?
Yeah, so here's and stabilized it, and the direction was to stabilize it. I mean, again, with it being occurring kind of the beginning, middle of November, we wanted to get it stabilized and established as well. I didn't have a chance to get out there prior to the snow. Do you know if the grass was able to take?
No, it's grown.
No, yeah, okay.
Probably
That's going to be something, and that can certainly be something conditioned by the commission that it gets immediately established in the next couple of months. And are there any questions?
Any questions?
How close is it to the wetland?
So again, kind of with the kind of existing conditions being parallel to the back edge of the house, estimate it's. So this is the 100-foot buffer here.
30.
Yeah, I mean 75, 80. And they probably removed 40 feet of pavement. That certainly, just from looking at this, the previous conditions certainly weren't ideal, and having all that runoff be directed directly to the slope going down to the wetland resource area. So that's I think overall the future conditions with the significant pavement removed will be an improvement for the site.
So this is after the fact? So you just want a conditional?
Yeah, a conditional negative, again, with that, the area be stabilized early in this
Jim?
growing season.
Because we can't actually see what's under the snow and ice, and we know it's not stabilized before we get, nothing growing there yet. We gotta make some conditions on it, extend through the spring. We should just.
You mean until the
Should we have
grass?
established grass or something in that, the old pavement ended.
Like a erosion, like a erosion control wall.
That would be good along the top crest of the.
Okay.
Of the
So,
slope.
a straw wattle at the top of, just to make sure that if, we get a heavy April rain, all the seed in the soils are, not just washing over. We want to get stabilized for use.
Yeah, all right.
And then establish some kind of ground cover, whether it's grass or wild seed mix or whatever.
No?
Matt, could you go back up to the picture? Was it a truck parked by the wetlands?
So this photo's from 2019. That wasn't there this past year when I went out for a site
Google
visit.
Street View.
All right.
Google Street View, yeah.
There's always a concern about, fluids and stuff.
So, this was kind of, you can see the extent of the area beyond it, and no dump truck.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay, so can I have a motion to issue a conditional negative determination? All those in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing? All those in favor? Aye. So Matt will be in touch with the paperwork for you,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you so much.
Have a night.
Good night. Okay, moving on to our next 7:20 PM agenda item. It's a request for certificate of compliance for 89 Old Lowell Road.
This item will be tabled until after, at bare minimum, until after the snow has melted, so I can actually observe the existing conditions of the site.
But we don't need to explicitly continue this because it's a request for certificate.
No, it doesn't need to be continued. There are some provisions of the wetlands regs that require a certificate of compliance be acted upon within 21 days unless the commission is requiring more information. Between there being somewhat about 6 inches of snow outside on the ground, and also one of the special conditions in the order required that the renaturalization area be monitored for 2 years. We're just waiting a couple months I'm going to perform a site visit with the project engineer in the home in April-ish when the snow's melted to kind of see what the next steps are.
Okay, so this will be back before us after you've had the chance to do the site visit?
Yes.
Okay,
When there's no snow.
when there's no snow. Okay, moving on to our next 7:20 PM agenda item, certificate of compliance request for 3, 5, and 7 Liberty Way and 4 Liberty Way.
These open orders of conditions were found via a public records request. They were originally issued in the early 80s. As listed in the letter from the project engineer, those orders of conditions are no longer valid. Additionally, the commission has issued subsequent orders of conditions and certificates of compliance for this property. So kind of the conditions have been reviewed subsequent to this. The actual order of conditions indexed at the registry is for off of Industrial Way, which never was constructed. So that was, we figured, they were like, how everybody missed it? And I was like, well, it's not indexed and it's off of some road that doesn't exist. So, I'd like to think we're better about things getting recorded, but again, more just kind of for the paperwork and cleaning it up. But
Jim?
How is our system in town hall recorded for things like this where orders and conditions were open, but it's on a parcel on a street that doesn't exist? If the parcel has a number, it's filed by parcel number too?
No, because those change, they can change over time.
If they're
at some point, the assessor's office, I think, updated map and parcel. I don't really know.
How is our stuff filed?
So it's by DEP file number, so 334-063. Our archivist that is uploading all of the orders of notice of intents, orders of conditions, and certificates of compliance if they've been received. He's done a fantastic job over the last, I think, probably 6 or 7 years uploading. We're at DEP file number 1860 now. They're all being uploaded by address. So that was what prompted me. There was a public records request from a consultant doing an environmental impact or a tier 1 impact assessment. And I was about to send him a very short and curt email about go look on the town's website, anything would be there. And in our archivist, went back and figured out that this order was,
It's filing by DEP file number wouldn't seem to work. Why would you look up a file number that you don't know?
well, again, and so in the town's document management system.
I would think you'd want to look for real estate parcel ID. So the parcel would then tell you what the file number is, and from that you can find the order of conditions and find out if it was ever done. We should have a way to check when somebody comes before us, a project on a piece of property. We should just routinely look to see are there other orders or conditions already opened on that property.
I usually do.
And since we don't know the DEP file number for those potentially older orders or conditions, we have to have something to look it up on. And I would think that would be parcel ID.
Here, we'll go for. Here it is.
You're looking up under a street name.
Right, and so.
The street doesn't exist.
Right, but.
That's how it fell through a big crack.
Let him finish.
So, as shown, the archivist who's been uploading them, figured out that Lot 4 Liberty Way, he went into the registry, found, the plan with which is referenced on it, or found the deed, then found, and he indexed it to Lot 4 Liberty Way and the property. Again, I typically look things up by property address as it's quicker and there's less characters for me to make this typo on and pick up the wrong thing. And so that's how they're currently all so they are indexed by property number property ID, so map, parcel, lot, but also street address, because more often than not, people have the street address.
Most of the time, the street address doesn't change.
It doesn't change, or there's enough you can kind of follow it through. But again, this is
a case where everybody missed it because the street doesn't exist, so the street.
Right, and I didn't think to look at it at the time. Again, here's the plan. Lot 4A Interchange Industrial Park was the plan title, and the plan itself, or the application itself. Lot 4A Industrial Way. But like I said, our archivist is very detail oriented and has, and so, he found, I don't know if he made sure to print out the book and page number of the recorded order so that, it's not just us saying, well, I found this and, it's he printed off this himself. This was added, if it wasn't, this was received in 1980, so this was recorded at the time, but it just wasn't indexed to, and again, the old order, if you look at the old order form, there's no book page was listed, no map parcel number is, the information is lacking. So, the fact that this got indexed correctly to the correct lot, goes to archivists. I'll give him a shout out. Wayne's, ability and, kind of thoroughness to make sure that this got to the right spot and, because otherwise this one would have just, kind of, and again, it doesn't really change. I don't know, probably does to the people potentially buying the property.
Especially, if it came up to a short.
Right, again, this one, since there were subsequent orders, notice of intents filed, orders issued, certificates of compliance issued, it doesn't, it's kind of null and, it's kind of null, but, think back to 364 Littleton Road where that order, granted was from the 90s and there were outstanding drainage issues that, hadn't been completed. The commission, can go back and issue an enforcement for, hey, you haven't, this site is out of compliance with what it was supposed to. So
we should have some way that we look for parcels that exhibit these kind of characteristics. A street that doesn't exist, a number that may have changed, anything like that. Whether it's a combination of file number, parcel number, address. any of those things.
I think Wayne's into the 1400s.
Is this what the database is gonna look like? Cause that would be great, cause that's searchable by street.
Yeah,
Parcel
I mean,
ID.
we can, yeah, I mean, if you want to see how many.
That's what he's generating now?
Yeah, I mean, it was
Okay,
gonna,
that looks
So
like,
he's-
that has everything in it. That has the parcel ID, it has
The file number,
DEP
right.
file number, and it has the address.
and if I had thought back, granted, they weren't seeking the current property owner was on, when they were looking to close out the previous,
3, 5, and 7?
yeah, the previous two for 3, 5, and 7, that would have been something, I think I just overlooked it as, it wasn't, didn't think of it at the time.
You didn't think that there might be anything before him?
Right, yeah, and so it certainly is a, but if you take these off and you just search by, say, conservation, document type, order of conditions, there you go.
So he's basically taking everything that we've got in paper files, and he's putting it into the document management system, and where he finds bits of information that aren't connected, he's doing the research to
And even,
make the linkage.
and even in, each project file, we still are retaining, kind of the core components of the project, just, the cover sheet to each project file says, where things are, what's missing from the file. Oh, this, the certificate of compliance was never recorded, or certificate of compliance wasn't recorded, was never issued, was never requested, kind of seeing what, so when somebody does come in quickly and, I have a closing in 2 days and, I need a certificate of compliance, I can quickly run down, pull the file and open it and say, we're at, it was issued, it just was never recorded. Let's go get a true attested copy and, you're on your way. Those are also the same days I buy lottery tickets because they're few and far between.
So you're looking for these certificate of compliance?
I would recommend
requests?
these two
Yes.
certificates of compliance be
Let's take a
issued
vote.
as they're no longer valid.
Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file numbers 334-0063 and 334-0064?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on to the next item, request to work between December 1st and April 1st from Rom Realty Investments.
I let the representatives and the requester from Curtis Septic and the property owner know that the commission did not act on it at their last meeting. Because there were numerous outstanding conditions associated with the order of conditions that had not been complied with, and that there was nobody in attendance to speak to the request, as it certainly is a little kind of all-encompassing for all the work of the project. I recommend not taking action at this time. No.
Okay.
Just saying,
I'll make a motion to the effect.
The second.
to say it practically no.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marilyn seconded it.
All those in favor? Aye. So, moving on to our next request to work between December 1st and April 1st for Thompson, 18 Dana Drive.
This request was received by the contractor. Due to the recent snow and ice, the commission wants to think back to their last January meeting. There was a request to work to install a wall, a small retaining wall. The commission was amenable to that request. The commission was not amenable to their request to start excavating for the pool itself. Due to the snow and ice that we had at the end of January, beginning of this month, they were delayed and they're approximating 1 week additional more of work. Again, weather dependent. If the commission,
So this is an extension just to do the work that we had previously
yes,
said they
for the
could do.
retaining wall.
It's just another week, right?
Yeah, and I would recommend the commission, if the commission is amenable. Granted, granting an approval to,
Friday, March 14th.
yes, Friday, March 14th.
So can I have a motion to extend the approval to work between December 1st to do the retaining wall work and
That's it.
the retaining wall work at 18 Dana Drive, to extend the permitted work window to Friday, March 14th.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And so the last one is the request to construct a barn at 35 Tadmouth Road.
This was left off at the commission's last meeting by saying it would be on this meeting agenda. They're still working through kind of where to potentially put it, whether or not they need to seek a variance or any relief from zoning. So I didn't want to not put it on this meeting agenda, but also it will be rescheduled. The request will be added to the future meeting agenda when they have information to
Yes, Jim?
discuss.
Part of this one was also the go to planning board for a front setback. Yard setback.
Potentially, they're evaluating locations which comply with zoning.
Right.
They're also evaluating whether or not to file and seek relief from the zoning board of appeals if in its current condition. So they, the applicant it's in their court to figure
They're
out what they
looking at their
want.
options.
And it will get added to a future commission meeting when it's appropriate.
So at this point, we're just saying that we're not going to throw a potential date out there for the continuation of the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. But we close out from what had happened at the last meeting.
Yes, it was in the meeting minutes. The meeting minutes was actually what prompted me to re-add it, because I'd taken it off.
Okay. So should we move on to discussion and action items?
I've reached out to the environmental consultants who do the monitoring of the water bodies in town to provide for two quotes for monitoring after anticipated fireworks at Long Sought Fort Pond again this summer. The first tier is just for a report rate and the metals identified in the NHDES fact sheet. The second tier, which would I think be much more expensive, but I at least want to figure out here to know what the number is, to do that plus all heavy metals that could potentially be involved. And so when I get the quote back, I'll certainly bring it back to the commission and just kind of following up and then kind of figuring out funding for the sampling.
Okay. Jim?
And there'd be for two rounds of testing, one prior to the event to set up.
I can certainly,
Okay.
and
Even if it's the first tier, we still need two, one to set it up before the
Baseline.
4th of July baseline, and then a couple of days after 4th of July.
Well, actually, they don't do it on the
It's
fourth.
like
They do it at the end of their season
But
in
a
August.
week before it and a couple of days after.
so that we can make sure that we're getting a baseline and a.
Do they treat for algae blooms there with copper sulfate?
But occasionally they have, it's not regular. Copper is a naturally occurring, if we're doing sediment sampling, I would think there to be a baseline, there would be naturally occurring copper, elemental copper.
But if they do that treatment around the same time and then we're getting high
but I
copper.
think thankfully, I also looped in the lake management company to this as well, because yes, we don't need to confuse our data, just.
Fix our data.
But that's a very good point, and I'll remind them to make sure everybody's coordinating. putting our thumb on the scale. 20 Keys Road, I do not have an update at this time. I haven't been able to make it out that way. There. Correspondence. With the Stony Brook Conservation Area, still have the hiring of the beach attendant. And I did speak with the camp director for Teamworks recently, as they are proposing, they're looking ready, they're kind of starting to plan for this upcoming season. And do need to still schedule kind of follow up from last year and then this year. And I know, I mean, what's the 7th, so I don't. The Westford Land Preservation Foundation. And,
Oh, with, yeah, over at Millennium?
yeah, that was the 7th. I don't know.
No, I don't know that we mentioned that meeting on the 12th.
So on February 7th, Jim, Margaret, myself, a member of the Westford Land Preservation Foundation, in addition to town administration and the Public Works Director and Recreation Director, met to discuss kind of the item that was raised at the second January meeting regarding prohibiting camps or requesting that no passenger vehicle trips be allowed up to the camps during the camp season. I think that was overall kind of I would characterize it as a miscommunication of kind of the desires. We do have 1 year left on the lease with Works, and if we do want to change kind of going forward, not extending the current lease agreement and going back out to an RFP, my opinion is kind of the process going forward. If we want to require shared shuttle vans or
What are they allowed now?
they're
There's no specific restriction.
Right, but it's gotten to be more, right?
Gotten to be more what?
No more traffic.
Yes, there's a lot of traffic, but there's no restrictions in the
Okay,
lease and
okay.
comment.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so that's kind of why, again, with it
Okay.
being the last year of the lease, we can certainly, make
That becomes a piece
recommendations,
of
kind
it.
of especially at the, kind of having the year-end review saying, encouraging carpooling and, see if they can.
Yeah,
But
I get
that's,
it, I get it.
But the,
direct or order for.
but then we also have to have that same discussion with the recreation department because they also run their camp there.
Correct.
And we don't go through an RFP process with them. So we have to have the same discussion
Give
with
them
them.
permission.
Jim?
We actually had 2 major discussions at that meeting. One was traffic situation, the other one was repair of the roadway. The issue we got wrapped around the axle. How we wanted to get the road repaired or paved. We had the public works people okay with that, but then we had a member of the Westford Land Preservation Foundation, who we thought was speaking for the organization, tell us that no, you couldn't pave.
So we need to include more people in the discussion.
So anyway, Andrea was there for the foundation, and she's supposed to work with the board, which is, I guess, diminished in number, and figure out what we can and can't do in terms of traffic and paving or repair of the roadway. We got an email today, it came out this morning, that they want us to pave the road. They didn't say what we could do to the road, they said what we couldn't do. So paving is a no. I don't know what a yes is. And as far as traffic, they said, okay, 1 more year because it's under the lease, the current conditions will operate the way it's been operated. But subsequent years will work something into the RFP, set some kind of limits on traffic. Be determined.
And And that actually kind of led into, just because I was looking at the lease before the meeting, and this can just kind of percolate, you let me know your thoughts. The lease agreement, the lease agreement was executed at the beginning of January. The Teamworks camp operates through the end of, or kind of 2/3 of the way through August. Think about when may be the most appropriate time to have a discussion about renewing the lease or saying, no, we're not going to be this, and kind of extending the lease agreement, and what we see, going back out to an RFP. Just again, doesn't need to be tonight, but it's just one of those things that thoughts from you can certainly help guide kind of my operation.
Well, and one of my thoughts was when Marcus Lewis Camp had to shut down because basically the pandemic impacted their operations, is late 2020 and into 2021 when we were doing the RFP, everything was very different than it is now. When we were in a different mindset when we were looking at how camp programs will be operated. And I think, 5 years later, it's maybe time to take a, I don't know if we want to go back to more of the way we engaged, more of the way we did RFPs when we were working with Marcus Lewis, or whether we want to take some kind of a forward-looking approach. But I think it's kind of time to maybe take a different, the RFP looks a little bit different than it did 5 years ago. And just my thought. Do you know when the Recreation Department does their beach hiring? Do you know when they start that process? Okay, because I think we want to get in step with them if we want to have people in place.
Think about equipment and staffing.
The same game.
Next item.
Yes.
Okay. The Edward Woods Conservation Area, the restoration of the disturbed area. Following the commission's last meeting, I stopped out, and included in the commission's packet is a letter I sent to a homeowner abutting the Edwards Woods area, and I documented snowmobiles, so snowmobile tracks on the Edwards Woods property, and a snowmobile trailer and snowmobile tracks on the abutting property. I have sent this letter. Additionally, I copied the captain in the police department. I followed up with them last week and subsequently today. No further. The patrols in the area have not observed any of the activity or any new tracks. Again, with this was sent before the week of school vacation, so that was kind of one of those wanted to bring it to the forefront for their attention at that time, and so I haven't made it back out that way. But again, the police captain had checked in with his officers, and they've not observed it.
So that's good.
That's nipped in the bud. I also sent one today to a property owner that butts Grassy Pond. That will be in your next meeting packet.
Same song, different address.
Yeah, snowmobile.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it's great. We have snow this winter. It's not great. People want to, hey, I have a snowmobile. Hopefully it'll, again, also include, and they're more than receptive to kind of keep an eye in your out, which I think, again, I don't think this was at Grassy Pond, I don't think it was as extensive or as frequent of use. I think it looks like it was one track going in and out. But I can also trace it back to the subject property and stuff. for the Freedom Park improvements, I included Margaret's email from the end of January, kind of your kind of items of the
things we'd kind of identified last year that were, that there are actions that are basically, areas that we need to take care of.
And I have received correspondence from a local resident that I plan to include for the commission's next meeting. It was received today?
Yes,
Yesterday and today.
well, actually, property owner.
Probably. Yeah, I provided it to you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if they were going to be, so I didn't want you guys to be informed if the discussion is. But I don't have anything currently. I'm just looking to hire a surveyor. I do not have an update on the Summer Village Conservation Restriction Amendment update. Nor do I have anything for the vegetation cutting or the unpermitted, the prohibited uses at the subject, at the Jarvisville Estates open space parcel subject to the conservation.
Have people had an opportunity to review the minutes for February 12th?
Yes. Yep, that's good.
So any comments or corrections? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the February 12th, 2025 meeting?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One extension. Yep. So is there anything?
I do not have anything else, and I don't think there's anything as a board or so.
We will be back here on March 5th. If you
Do not
have.
ever remember leaving at 5 after 8, ever.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If you have any